Got a couple things in the mail here. First, I picked up DC Power's new wiring, battery alternator wiring, grounding, all that stuff, with their battery clamps. Mine are pretty much falling apart. These feel pretty heavy duty, actually. So what I'll end up doing is taking the battery clamps off my current cables, and I'll put on some sort of lug like these guys, and that way I can attach the stock grounding and power that's already there, and then just run these to battery, alternator, starters, grounding, all that stuff. So yeah, picked that up. Wasn't too expensive. It was like $100, $120, something like that. But it's pretty good stuff. It's pretty pretty overkill for what I'm doing at the moment. Then I went ahead and got, because this intercooler is just a little bit too big. The sides don't clear, and I just don't really feel like chopping up the car a whole bunch to make that work. And I don't necessarily have the setup to redo the outputs on that. CX Racing makes this Rx7 specific kit, and I'm going to see if this fits. So I don't know where I ended up picking up that intercooler from. I don't even remember. It might have been eBay, but it was like over 10 years ago. So going to see about this. Looks like we got a bunch of piping. Another air filter. And I'm assuming that's the core down there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of here and see if they... Nope. I was kind of hoping for a set of instructions. Maybe that's inside. But anyways, I'll get this all out of here and kind of see what we're working with, and I'll bring you back after a bit. So this is basically exactly what I was looking for. It was just slightly too wide on the other one, so the new CX Racing one is just slightly more narrow. So that takes care of my issue, and should just pretty much be that easy to install. So we'll see what happens. So I've got this piece here. I guess it's painted, and as you can already see, it's cheap. Quality products are just hard to come by these days in the rotary community, it seems like, unless you want to pay outrageous prices and wait 2 years. But I got this really quick, so I suppose I can repaint it. But yeah, this was just a cheap rattle can kind of paint job, it looks like. So unfortunate. Now I need to pull the temperature sensor out of here and put it into this one, so we'll find out if the threads are the same. Here we go. So I attempted to stick this in here, and let's see if I can manage to do this one-handed here. Okay. So, unfortunately, they didn't drill the holes exactly like they're supposed to be. So, the top one seems to fit, but the bottom one won't go on. So now I need to drill this, and the paint's just coming right off. I'm probably going to end up wire wheeling this or buffing it or something. It's just going to look like crap. Alright. So from the looks of it, there's not going to be enough room here to run that pipe. And on the pictures that they have, because there's no instructions for this kit, of course, it looks like this is rotated. But on their own website, it's like they don't even know what they're doing with it, because they have, you know, pictures like this, and the piping isn't even completed or connected here, so I'm sure that'll be an issue. On here they're showing the primary coil rotated, and that's if you're doing the battery with the fuse panel block. But on the next image, or on the previous image, they have a wastegate, or excuse me, a blow-off valve right where the battery should be. So it's like, even on this, what I'm assuming is the same car, it's like the inconsistencies are pretty rife. I'm really not sure what they're going for here. So I have a feeling this is going to be a whole can of worms that I'm going to be getting into, just trying to get this thing to work. And it's not looking like it's going to be a bunch of fun. So, alright, and then previous owner of my car, I don't know what they were going to do, but they cut this section of steel out and relocated all the relays to the front, as you've probably seen. So getting this to mount, I'm probably going to have to put some sort of bracing that goes across, because as you can see, mine is missing that section. So, not sure. Yeah, there's plenty of meat. I can get into that, and I can figure something out for the other side, but the relays have all been relocated. Alright, so I'm gonna pull this primary coil off of here and rotate it. I think I can take the housing and then the mount, and then rotate the mount onto the housing so that it'll still bolt up into the same spot just like it is, but it'll be rotated. So I'm going to see how well that fits with my battery, and then see if that gets me any more clearance. Otherwise, I'm not sure how they want me to get that by there. No instructions. Unfortunately, to put this in here, looks like my catch can is in the way. So in order to do this, I'm going to have to go ahead and remove the oil catch can so I can lower this down, be able to snake this through here. And then I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do the primary coil, or if it's even going to go there. I may have to move it to over here somewhere with the catch can, or I'm just not sure how I'm going to do that yet. But so I used a 2 1/4 and a 3-inch hole saw, just mounted one inside the other, to go ahead and drill the hole on the driver's side, and I'll probably do the exact same on the passenger side, but I'll show you what that looks like. That's how the hole came out. It's mostly straight. The pipe will fit through, but I want to go ahead and file it, and then I'll probably spray a little something on there to keep it from rusting. So. Well, got the hole filed down as much as I care to do. I'm going to chuck a little primer on there just to cover up the bare steel. And then I have this little edging piece that I'm going to put around the hole, which will, you know, guard it some. So I'm going to put that on there too. But that'll be the hole. That's what it looks like down here. Just threw a little bit of primer, a little bit of high gloss black just to throw something on there, and then threw that edging on there. And I just measured that around the hole saw. Worked out pretty good. Well, not too bad. Looks like it goes through there pretty decently. I got my pipe laying right where it's supposed to, kind of. From the pictures online, it looks like this is going to have a little bit of a weird angle on the 45 that goes into the front mount, but now I need to decide if I'm going to go ahead and install this one first, or if I want to hang the intercooler. I think I'm going to do the intercooler because this one's pretty self-explanatory. This one, because you're kind of going near where the old reservoir for the window washer was. I think it's a little bit different, but I'm going to try and look at their pictures and see what they got. And I probably got to get rid of this thing too. Anyways. Okie dokie. Well, it looks like for the CX Racing piping, what they're doing is going basically where the stock holes are going to line up. So you have the windshield washer reservoir that used to sit down there, and that's looking like where they want it to line up with. That's about the only way that I can get it in here to where this looks like it'll clear, but it's definitely snug. I kind of wish that I had the option to get it without the blow-off valve though. I mean, I already have one, so it's kind of redundant, but it came with it, so I guess I'll be putting that on there. But yeah, that first pipe, I don't know why they bothered even painting that. So, anyways, well, we got her in there. Still have to put the clamps on, obviously, and I'm a little bit annoyed that the intake air temperature sensor is a little bit higher than it used to be. Hopefully it still reaches. I haven't even tried it yet. Let's see. I don't want to have to redo anything. Luckily I left myself just enough room. Looks kind of stupid now, but okay, it's on there. Yep, unfortunate about the paint on that. Yeah, it looks like crap. What a weird thing to paint, like, when the rest of it isn't. Don't really understand. Worked out just fine. Now I'm just mounting the intercooler. I just have it sitting on the jack. It does stick down just a skosh, but it looks like the rear subframe there for the engine mount, it's actually lower than this, so it is what it is. Anywho, I will go ahead and secure this radiator, or this intercooler. I did have to kind of bend my horns back just a little bit. In their picture, it's just hanging down underneath, which I thought was kind of comical, because, you know, that's not where that goes. Anyways, it's on there, and I'll go ahead and finish securing things down now. I ended up using these guys, little well-done bungs for this side, just because it was there, and I flipped them upside down so that I wouldn't have to do anything with this part that's cut out on mine, and I didn't even have to pull the front bumper off, which in the future it's going to have to anyways, because I want to do more painting and get this thing kind of back up to snuff. I think I'm just going to end up putting this back on without painting it. But then the other one that was kind of weird was the blow-off valve. I'll install it, but I don't even know if I'm going to use it. So the air filter I have does not clear the blow-off valve, so I have to use their little dog bone, dog leg, whatever pipe that comes out and then kind of dodges over to here. But I don't have anything that accommodates the, I don't know, what is that, 4-inch outlet or inlet on the turbo, so can't really do anything with that yet. So no air filtration as of yet. Other than that, it's basically together, and I of course didn't shut my door all the way the other day, and so the battery was dead, so it's charging now. But anywho, that's it. All the clamps are on there. Front mount is installed, and like I said, it does stick down just slightly, but that's just kind of the name of the game, I suppose. It's not too bad. I think it looks pretty good. Mostly straight, I think. Seems that way. Fits in there pretty good.
So we'll see if that affects my cooling at all. It's actually pretty stiff too. I was sort of shocked. I thought it would have a little bit more wonkiness to it. And I forgot if I mentioned or not, I did have to bend my horns back a little bit. But other than that, I was real happy I didn't have to relocate that. But I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with that oil catch can. I don't know if now that I have that pipe in there, if it'll be fine, if it'll fit. I haven't even looked at it, but one more thing, mostly done. Okay, in the cab, I have not even cold started this yet, so we'll go ahead and do that. That was a little rough. 61 pounds of oil pressure, reading on there. Dash is reading 50 something. So alright, going for a second start here. I have now disabled the one on the dash, and I have a gauge on the stock oil port area. And this one says 75. About 68. Not quite warmed up yet, sitting at about 137 degrees. Oil pressure's dropped about 6 or 7 psi. Oil temp is sitting at 83. Alright, sitting at about 160. Almost coolant temperature warm. I am out of gas too. Oil temperature is 95 degrees. Idle dropped down a bit, so we're sitting about 38 psi on the AEM. And the mechanical showing 58. Alright, looking at about 170 degrees, almost fully warm on the car. Idling about 900 something. Oh, it's right there, 950 or so. And getting 20 pounds at 116 degree oil. But our little gauge here is still reading 48 psi. Interesting. Sitting at about 145 degree oil temperature and less than 10 pounds. But on the mechanical gauge, in the stock oil port, I'm seeing 45, 42 and a half, what is that? About 45 psi. And if I give a throttle, that's my oil pressure sitting at 5 psi, almost fully warm. But if I look at the mechanical gauge, it's got almost 45 psi at idle. oil pressure deal, and I tried to block that off, but it's not quite sealed. But the oil pressure sending unit, I moved it down to the stock location. And now at idle, at basically full temperature, we're sitting at about 25 on the gauge anyways. And it at least moves. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with why it's so much lower than the mechanical gauge. The mechanical gauge jumped to 70 every single time, but I at least have oil pressure. Well, here's the engine. I put a little block off plate. I'm going to paint that. When the fan's plugged in, the closed loop idle doesn't like to stay on. When the condenser fan, I don't know what's up with that. Mostly figured out though. Now I just need to do some tuning. We have taken a page out of the old rotary Stifler handbook and went with the Delta PAG. It came with some, padding and stuff in here, but I already took it out. So I went ahead and got the whole meal deal. It's got all the sensors and all the stuff, the controller and everything. I'm going to probably not be using this for their temp control, but we'll see. I'd like to hook it into the ECU and have the ECU control everything. I mean, I have it, so I might as well at least try, I feel like. But we're going to see if this is going to fit. This is a really, really big fan, and I just don't know. So I'm going to do the best I can. I still am going to have to go down to the store to get some hardware. But I've been out of the country for work, and I just got back. And so this has been sitting in my house for a week now, and I am going to go ahead and start lining some stuff up and see what we can do to get this to work. So I'm going to get that shroud out of there and I'll bring you back. Alright, so got the fan here, and just to kind of show, it is completely seized. It will not even spin. So, garbage. No bueno. So. And for the moment of truth, just to see if it's even gonna, it's gonna be a very tight fit. But it looks like I got about, I don't know, 3/8 on either side. So that's going to have to work for now. I would like to come up with something a little bit better later on, but for now I think this is going to do. I am not going to complain. It will probably keep it cool. So now I just need to figure out a way to, probably going to have to cut that hole bigger, obviously, and then drill the holes for the bolts. And it didn't come with hardware, so I'll have to go source those, but what to do. So I'm gonna get busy. A little nervous at this point. This thing was not exactly cheap, and I'm pretty sure that this is a pusher fan. I don't think I've ever seen blades curved in the direction they're curved here. Like this would go that way, right? That would be pushing air. I don't think it would go that way. But I'm hoping that I'm wrong, which we'll see. Okie dokie. I think that's gonna do. I'm gonna probably, yeah, I'll just lightly file this. It's like the cardinal sin of filing, but I'm gonna take off any of the burrs here. Okie dokie. Okay. Let's see here. No. Yeah. I think that's going to do just fine. Yep. 4 bolts to hold it on. Well, I need to go get some hardware. For bolts or whatever. I'm thinking I'm going to do, shoot, maybe I even have some. But I'd like to do nylock on the outside. Well, we'll see. I'm going to probably do a washer to the plastic so that I'm not turning on that. And then I think a nylock would be the best way to do it so that it's not digging in. Yeah, that worked out pretty good. A lot better than I thought it was going to do, actually. This shroud that they sold me on eBay a billion years ago, it's pretty much trash. Eventually, I will do my own custom one to fit properly. I have access to a press brake, and I got a buddy who's pretty good at all of that stuff. So in the future, this will look a lot nicer, but for right now, it will serve its purpose, I think, just fine. Alright, so I now need to at least get it attached so I can make sure that it clears everything in the car. Well, it fits kind of by the skin of my teeth here. Just clears that, and then it's pretty close to the sway bar, probably about ½ inch or so. However, I'm quite happy with the way that ended up going in. So I will end up shrouding all these wires in the same wiring loom wrap that I have. But I think what I'm going to do is, because I ended up having to put the controller or the 3-phase inverter deal onto the side here, which in hindsight I probably should have faced it down or put it here or even here, because it's so close, but ended up working pretty good. I think I'll put these wires underneath the intercooler piping and probably just reutilize this that's already in existence to mount it, and I think that'll work out pretty darn good. So I think this will end up going something like that. and then I can run all my signal. Plus, in my harness, I'm pretty sure I already have a stub out for my 12 volt switch, and the PWM for the fan would be right there. So I don't even think I'll have to pull the ECU out and rewire anything. Alright, on to the next part. Alright, so I'm pretty sure that I ended up buying this controller for that thing, and I don't think I'm going to end up using it if this works. So the ECU switches ground, and they have instructions on their deal for switching ground, and I have this book of resistors, and it has 10k ohm resistors, and that's what they're calling for to go between my ECU switched signal and the gray wire output speed wire from the inverter to the positive lead to it as well. So I'm going to probably end up having to do some weird like solder slash heat shrink stuff to get this like somewhat secured on there. I don't really like soldering in this sort of application, but I don't know what options I have without some sort of better device. So I don't really want any strain on this either. So I'm going to go ahead and figure something out. Basically what I'll do is, because they've got me all pre-wired for that controller, I'm just going to cut off this piece here and then basically attach it here, and then my output for my fan that used to switch the relay ground will now just be my PWM signal. So I'll hook that through the 10k ohm resistor straight into that, and should be good to go. So a lot less wires basically. So I'll have to, yeah, that should basically be it. Okay. Okie dokie, so I got this thing kind of mocked up here, at least just for testing. And I have the laptop hooked in, and I'm going to put the power to this. I already tested it, so I already know it works, but basically this should turn it on, which is what I will do via a relay output. But right now I'm just plugging it in. And let's see here. If I look at the screen, right now we're inverted, the signal, and if I turn it off, it ramps up to full speed. And if I invert it, it goes back down, and I have fine control over the RPM. So if I turn this frequency down, oh, because I haven't set my stuff. Okay, so I still have to set my temperatures and everything. But yeah, it is actually working, which is pretty cool. So now I just need to actually go through and set my temps and play with the frequency a little bit to get it to kind of fine tune. They're saying 3 minutes to come down 15 degrees. So I'll have to kind of figure out where this is at. I can't find documentation for the PWM frequency, so I'm gonna fire it up and kind of see where it's at. So I've got it wired in here. I probably could have done a little bit cleaner of a job with the wiring, but it looks okay, I guess. It's not actually touching there. Then I got my little controller deal here. I just ended up hijacking the one I was going to use for the methanol control and put it towards my relay control instead. So So it's coming on at 180 degrees, and then 0 hysteresis on it. And then I'm trying to mess with the PWM, but I don't know what the frequencies are yet. Yeah, so I'm still kind of struggling with that. But now you can see engine coolant temperature is 177, and the fan is turning off. So she cools down quick too, and that's not even the full speed. And so I'm trying to figure out what the frequencies are for PWM control. If I can get this camera to play nice here. So right now I was trying 100 hertz and 0% below 180, 100% above 205. But I'm not sure that inverting this is actually helping me. I'm not sure what's going on. But 181, and she kicked back on. And it's been on for just a few seconds here. And it's already coming back down. And this thing's at the lowest speed possible. It throws a serious amount of wind. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's really putting out some steam for sure. So now we can actually go do some road testing. I guess it looks okay. It looks kind of hokey, but well, it is what it is. And then I ran it underneath and got it all tucked away and secured and all that stuff. So anyways,